Check it out. Looking to do some soldering today, and I was able to get my hands on this. So this is the SQ-001 electric soldering iron. You can find this on Amazon, eBay, under some different names. This one says Sesquire up at the top. I found it under like a Fly Sky or something other brand also. I think it was 40-50 bucks, something along those lines. What I have been using here to solder all batteries and everything else is this really nice weller. All right, so I have this weller. This is 300 watt max. This is WLC 200. Now, I don't remember how much it was. Definitely more, but it has one major drawback to it. It does great. I absolutely love it. So let me say that very clearly. I do recommend it if you were looking to get a soldering iron that can do a lot of different things. I do recommend it. Variable temperature, has a sponge built in, has this case. I do like it for all of that. The drawback to it, and it's dirty at the moment, but the drawback to it is look how big this tip is. So you can see the size of that tip versus my finger. Here's the size of that tip versus an XT90. So as you're trying to solder something like an XT90, it actually works really well. But if you were trying to solder like a Dean's connector or something, it's just too big. Trying to get into if I was trying to do any small stuff on like a receiver or an ESC, as I wired up the ESC, the new ESC from my other drift car, this was kind of difficult because of how big it was. This smaller soldering iron, that's where this comes in place, is try to help on some of the smaller jobs. The manual, interesting wire connector there. This is just your stand. Has a spot for a sponge. Has your little stand for the iron itself. That's kind of nice. I like that. It has some tools, so I guess you can change out the tips. Comes in two parts. And I'm going to have to be smart enough to figure out how it works, but looks like it might be something like that. I'm obviously going to... Okay, so this is pretty cool looking in at the instructions. I got all excited because I see a USB and the power, the standard power that goes in here to this. I thought you could run it off of either one, and depending on if you use 12 to 24 volts into it, you get 17 to 65 watts out. So 24 volts in, you get 65 watts on this thing. That's really pretty good. The issue that I have at the moment is this is like, it's not an XT90. It's like an XT30 or something like that, XT60, and I have nothing that I believe I can plug this into. So I don't have a way to provide it power right now. I'm thinking I might swap it over, and I could swap it actually over to an XT90, and then since it'll run all the way up to 24 volts, I can put like a 4S battery on it, and it would actually run off of a 4S battery, which, if that's the case, this could be ridiculously useful out on the trail with like a crawler, something happens. This plus like a 4S battery in your backpack and you have a soldering iron anywhere? That's pretty cool. All right, check it out. Look at this. So, soldered a new end onto this wire since I have XT60s on everything else that I own. And so now I am literally warming up. It is already to 300 degrees. You plug it in, running off of a 4S battery. So since it has 12 to 24 volts gets you 17 to 65 watts, I decided to go with a 3S battery. And it says that it is 4S battery. It says it is up to 300C. You just turn it on, hit the button, and it just whoosh, it just came up to temperature real quick. So we're gonna give this bad boy a shot. A freshly charged 4S battery, so give us a little bit extra voltage there to see if it will solder better. I also figured out that I could actually crank this thing up to, you can see it next to my finger here, you can actually crank this thing up to 400 degrees. So that should help. Alright, there we go. So that works a whole lot better as it turns out. This is a pretty cool little soldering iron, right? Like, if I'm here in my shop and I'm going to be doing something like these XT90s on a big 4S battery, am I going to use it? No, I'm probably not going to be using it. I'm going to be using my bigger Weller. It has more voltage, it has more wattage coming to it. It's a lot quicker to use on these big ones. But the reason why I thought this thing was cool is I can literally bring this, I can bring a charged up 4S back. It did make a difference when this was on storage charge versus fully balanced charged. I can bring a fully charged 4S back and this in my backpack if I'm on the trail or something like that, and it has enough wattage and enough power that I can solder an XT90 connector or do any other little small electrical thing if I need to. That is really cool, right? I mean, that's a pretty cool little handy dandy thing to have. I just soldered my own XT90 on the end of it. Life is good. So if you're in the market for it, I'll put a link down below to something similar. You can see it in the on eBay or Amazon or something like that. And that's pretty cool stuff.